Discover the incredible love story of a billionaire CEO and his maid, 3 life-changing revelations. Emma had always dreamed of a better life for her son, David. As the vibrant streets of New York City buzzed with energy, she poured herself into her work, scrubbing floors and dusting shelves in the homes of the elite. Each swipe of her cloth revealed the hidden stories of wealth and privilege, the untold chapters of struggle and sweat behind her own smile. At 28, Emma stood tall, not just for herself but for David, who deserved so much more than the hand dealt to them. Every day felt like a dance, a blend of determination and desperation. She woke early, the sun barely peeking over the horizon, and kissed David's forehead, hoping to radiate warmth and security. "Be good for mommy," she'd whisper, her heart aching with love and worry. Then, like clockwork, she'd hurriedly work her way through multiple jobs, each one a stepping stone closer to a life that sparkled brighter than the one they currently lived. Among her diverse roles, she found herself cleaning the penthouse of Jack Thompson, the self-made billionaire known for his Wall Street empire and captivating charm. Jack, in his tailored suits and polished demeanor, seemed to embody the American dream. Yet, when their paths crossed, their worlds collided in unexpected ways. "Hey, Emma. You did a fantastic job," he'd often say with a grin that could light up the dimmest rooms. She'd blush, flattered but also aware of the chasm between them. Their conversation sparked joy in her heart, a shared joke here, an insight about dreaming big there. In those brief moments of vulnerability, Jack recognized the fierce determination in her eyes, the same fire that ignited his youth in the Bronx. They laughed, daring to dream aloud amidst piles of laundry and polished marble floors, yet shadows loomed. Jack's world was one of opulence, where his family expected him to marry a society darling, while Emma's friends warned her of the dangers of love that held a price tag. The whispers of judgment echoed in her mind, leaving her uncertain, every smile feeling like a mask. As the vibrant spring turned to an unforgiving summer, fate dealt a cruel hand. David fell gravely ill. The hospital bills piled higher than any penthouse window, leaving Emma breathless with worry and helplessness. Her heart pounded, mixing fear with fierce resolve. Jack, witnessing Emma's relentless spirit and her sacrifices for their child, was shaken. This was no longer just Emma the maid, she was a mother fighting for her son's life, forcing him to confront his background, biases, and the weight of what was expected from him. In a poignant moment at an opulent family gathering, Jack found himself standing at the epicenter of expectation. Surrounded by the elite, he was supposed to cement his place in their world. Yet, his heart raced only for Emma. The choice felt monumental. Would he let go of the gilded cage and embrace the woman who awakened his spirit, or would he submit to tradition and disdain? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With his family's eyes boring into him, the air thick with expectation, Jack took a heavy breath. Time slowed, and he could feel the pulse of his life shifting beneath him. Suddenly, everything felt clearer: the laughter of Emma, the warmth of David's hugs, the dream of a life unbound by class. At that moment, he realized the truth: love knows no boundaries. Would he risk it all for the heart that had already become his home? As his heart raced, the crowd buzzed around him, their whispers blurring into an indistinguishable hum. Jack stood at the brink, ready to leap, ready to change everything. Would it be a life shaped by family and status, or one defined by true love? Jack's decision hung in the air, electric and taut. This wasn't just about status anymore, it was about real connection, about heart. Emma had shown him the beauty in simplicity, the power of resilience. Each moment spent with her had pulled at his soul, unveiling parts of himself he thought were lost. That he stole a glance at Emma across the room. She was standing by the window, looking out over the city skyline, the golden rays of the sun illuminating her features. Her brow furrowed with worry, as if she was carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. He could see her heart spilling over for David, the little boy who had become a beacon of hope for both of them. In that second, Jack understood he had to make a choice. "Emma!" he called out. The room went silent. Heads turned, whispers stilled. With every step toward her, the crowded extravagance of the gathering faded into the background. It was just them, two souls tangled in an unbreakable bond despite their circumstances. "Jack?" she asked, her voice dripping with confusion and possibility. The mixture of feelings painting her eyebrows, indicating her hope and fear. He reached her and took her hands, feeling the warmth of her skin against his own. Gaze unwavering, he spoke, "What if I told you I want to break free from all of this? From every expectation, every judgment?" His voice trembled slightly, breaking the pristine atmosphere of the elite gathering. She searched his eyes, vulnerable and earnest. "You mean it?" "I do," he replied. "I've spent my life running from my past, trying to conform to what others expect of me. But being with you and David, it's changed everything. I want a life filled with love, not obligation." The room buzzed with murmurs, but Jack barely heard them. Emma's face lit up, a mixture of hope and disbelief. "Jack, your family, they won't understand," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, caught between joy and fear. "I don't care. I would rather face their scorn than live a life that isn't true to me." He gently squeezed her hands, his resolve hardening. "You and David are my heart. I want to build a future with both of you." Tears welled in Emma's eyes, a rush of emotion threatening to spill over. "But what about your responsibilities? What will they say?" He smiled softly, brushing a tear away. "We can create our own family, our own life. The three of us. We'll fight against whatever comes our way. I'll do anything for you, Emma. You've shown me how to love again." Just then, a familiar voice exploded through the crowd, slicing the moment sharply. "Jack! What are you doing? Get away from her." His mother, a formidable presence, jutted out of the throng, anger radiating from her every word. Jack's heart sank. "Mom, please, you will not throw everything you've worked for away on this maid." Emma withdrew her hands, the rawness of the situation crashing down on both of them like a tidal wave. Jack felt an agonizing tug at his heart. Would he stand up to his mother, dealing with the consequences, or retreat into the confines of his upbringing? As Jack faced his mother, he felt the weight of generations behind him, the suffocating expectations of wealth and legacy, and yet, at the same time, a fierce love for Emma surged within him. "Mom," Jack spoke, his voice steady. "This isn't about you anymore. This is about love." Emma gasped, her heart pounding. Could this truly be the moment everything changed? Jack braced for the battle ahead, but deep down, he knew one thing: love was worth fighting for. As the tension ramped up, a thought crossed Emma's mind. What would happen to her and David if he did defy his family? And could love overcome the very traditions that had held him captive for so long? Suddenly, the echoes of the night mingled with uncertainty. Would their love be enough to break through the chains of expectation? The answer was yet to come. Jack's heart raced as he faced his mother, the crowd around him fading away into a blur. He knew he stood at a crossroads, not just for his life, but for Emma and David's future as well. The air was thick with tension, and he could feel every piercing gaze on him, anticipating the fallout of his next words. "Mom," he repeated, firmer this time. "This is my choice to make. I want to be with Emma." Her eyes flared with disbelief, the kind that could ignite 1,000 arguments. "You think you can just throw away your future? Your father worked too hard for you to create this life." Her voice rose, drawing more attention, a wave of shock rippling through the crowd. "Isn't that the problem?" Jack shot back, his voice now louder, filled with determination and the echoes of long-buried frustration. "What future are we creating? A life based on others' expectations, or one where I can actually be happy?" Emma stood beside him, her presence grounding him as he looked at her, ready to fight. The softness in her eyes reflected the love they had built together, standing strong amidst the chaos. The warmth of her support surged through him. She believed in him, in them. "Jack," his mother pleaded, the fierce demeanor faltering just for an instant. "You can't mean that." "I do," he insisted, his gaze unwavering. "Being with you, Emma, and David, it fills me with a sense of purpose I never realized I was missing. This isn't a momentary whim, it's my truth." Jack felt the murmurs escalate to bewildered whispers. Friends, associates, and family members exchanged glances, some wide-eyed with shock, others animated with gossip. But amidst the noise, he heard Emma's heartbeat steady, full of life. He knew he wouldn't let this moment slip away, his mother's expression twisted in confusion, then anger. "You'll regret this. You're willing to throw everything away for a life of uncertainty." "Maybe uncertainty is what I need," Jack declared, feeling adrenaline pulse through him. "Living in your shadow isn't living at all." Then he turned toward Emma. "Let us not wait another moment. You and David deserve to know how I feel." Emma looked at him, her breath hitching at the vulnerability of his declaration. "Jack, are you sure?" she whispered, her hands trembling as they intertwined again. For the first time, he saw a glimmer of hope emerging in her eyes, and it ignited his own inner fire. "I am sure. I'm ready to face whatever's coming. With you." Meanwhile, the tension in the room simmered, the crowd watching in rapt silence. Jack's mother opened her mouth, preparing to unleash a tirade, but hesitated. For a fleeting moment, something in her expression softened. Perhaps she was beginning to grasp the depth of his feelings. "Think carefully, Jack. You're making a huge mistake," she warned, her voice losing some of its previous edge. "No, Mom. The mistake would be ignoring what I truly want," he countered, sounding stronger now. "I can't let fear dictate my life any longer." With that, Jack felt an overwhelming surge of clarity. Something inside him shifted. It was as if he had finally shed an old skin, revealing the man he truly wanted to be. "Jack, if you choose this path, you may lose everything," his mother cautioned, but he could see the cracks in her resolve. "I'm ready to take that risk," he replied, feeling Emma squeeze his hand, grounding him in the face of the uncertainty ahead. Could their love withstand the scrutiny, the judgment? "Let us just go," Jack said softly to Emma, his eyes tender yet fierce. Emma searched his eyes as if looking for reassurance. "Together?" "Always," he affirmed, and in that moment, they were united, two souls braving the storm, ready to forge a new reality. As they turned to leave, Jack felt the eyes of the crowd on them and his heart pounded louder than ever. Would they ever truly accept his choice? And more importantly, would he be ready to face the consequences of choosing love over legacy? But a part of him held on to the hope that perhaps, in time, love would have its way. Just as they stepped toward the door, a sudden commotion froze them in place. "Jack!" his mother called, her voice now tinged with desperation. "What will you do now?" As that piercing question hung in the air, Jack turned back, ready to confront the future. Would their shared dream stand the test? Jack felt the weight of his mother's words pressing down on him. Her eyes were wide with emotion, a stark contrast to the furious mask she wore just moments ago. He glanced at Emma, searching for encouragement, but her face mirrored uncertainty. It was as if time had paused, the room vibrating with tension, anticipation hanging in the air like a storm cloud ready to unleash. "I don't know what you mean," he finally said, summoning the strength within him. "I want to build my own future, Mom. Not the one you've laid out for me." The words felt liberating, almost like a battle cry echoing in the silence. "Jack, you're making a choice that could ruin you." She shot back, desperation creeping into her tone. "And what about you?" His voice cracked slightly, his heart racing. "What about the life you want for yourself? You can't expect me to live under your dreams forever." His mother's face twisted in pain, heartbreak flashing through her features for just a moment. But Jack took a breath, trying to remain steady. This was not just about him anymore. It was about Emma and David, too, the little family they envisioned together. What about David? He pressed, his voice full of resolve. He deserves a father who is present, who is happy, not just a name on a piece of paper living in someone else's box. The crowd around them began to murmur again, a collection of disapproving noises about choices, family ties, responsibility, the expectations that came with their last name. However, Jack could barely hear them. All he could focus on was the burning fire of determination inside him and the heartbeat of the woman he loved. Emma shifted slightly beside him, her grip tightening on his hand. "Jack," she whispered, her breath shaky. "You don't have to do this alone." "I'm not alone," he said, a smile breaking through the tension on his face, encouraged by her unwavering faith. "Not anymore." He stared straight into his mother's eyes, grounding himself in their shared history. "I want to create a life for my family. One filled with love and laughter, not just duty and obligation. Can't you see that?" Her silence filled the space between them, each second a raging storm. The emotions rolled through her, shock, disappointment, and a flicker of something else, perhaps understanding. Jack couldn't be sure, but before she could respond, he turned back to Emma, who looked up at him with those beautiful, wide-open eyes, full of hope and fear all at once. "Let us go. We can figure this out together." They began to leave the entrance where they stood at the precipice of rejection, of what could have been a mundane acceptance but now felt like an escape into the unknown. With every step, Jack felt lighter, as if he was shedding chains he hadn't even realized he was dragging along. As they approached the door, he looked back one last time. His mother's expression had shifted to one of confusion, and Jack's heart ached for her. "I love you, Mom," he shouted back, the words escaping before he could think twice. "Jack!" She called out again, and he felt the urgency of her plea. He hesitated for only a moment, but Emma pulled him gently forward, her touch a reminder of all they were stepping into. "It's time to move on," she whispered softly, with one final look at the crowd, friends, family, all still watching, all waiting. He stepped out into the sunlight, the warmth enveloping him like a promise, but as they reached the car, Jack felt a nagging thought. They had taken a leap of faith, but what awaited them in this new life? Would their love be strong enough to withstand the trials ahead? "Emma, what do we do now?" Jack asked, his heart racing with excitement and dread. Their future lay ahead, filled with uncertainty, but also with the thrilling possibility of freedom and love. What awaited them beyond this decision? Would they find joy or enduring struggles as they forged a life all their own? The engine of the car hummed quietly as Jack and Emma settled into the worn seats. The familiar scent of leather mixed with the faint whiff of the fresh, crisp air that seeped in through the open windows. As Jack pulled out of the driveway, he caught sight of the house for one last time. It stood solemnly, like a page from the past fluttering away in the wind. "Where to?" Emma asked, her voice breaking through his thoughts. "I'm not sure yet," he replied, focusing on the road ahead. The street felt foreign, alive with possibility, yet his mind churned with doubt. Maybe we should just drive for a bit. Pulling onto the main road, the world outside blurred past them. It felt liberating, but uncertainty lurked in the back of Jack's mind, whispering doubts. What if this was a mistake? He had traded a life of certainty for an unknown future, and the weight of that choice loomed over him. Emma glanced over, sensing his internal battle. "Jack, it's going to be okay," she reassured him, her hand resting gently on his knee. "We've got each other." He glanced at her, taking in her warmth and optimism amidst the swirling storm inside him. "I hope so. I can't help but think of everything we're leaving behind." "You're not alone in this," she insisted, squeezing his leg slightly. "I'm scared too, but we can grow together. That's what matters." Jack's heart swelled. The strength Emma exuded was contagious. "You're right. We're building our own story now," he said, determination flaring within him. They drove aimlessly for what felt like hours, the city giving way to open fields and endless blue skies. Jack couldn't help but feel a sense of exhilaration, the wind tousling their hair. For the first time, he could truly breathe. Suddenly, Emma pointed toward a small cafe that nestled alongside the road, its retro neon sign buzzing softly. "How about we stop there? It looks charming. We could use a break." With a nod, Jack pulled into the gravel parking lot, the crunch of stones under the tires grounding him in reality. Stepping inside, sunlight streamed through the large windows, casting playful shadows across the room. They found a cozy corner table and settled in beneath a backdrop of mismatched vintage decor. As they waited for their coffee, Jack looked around, noticing couples sharing laughter, families enjoying their meals, and friends engaged in animated conversations. It was everything he had longed for: connection, joy, the small moments that filled life with meaning. Emma caught his eye, beaming as she stirred her drink. "See? It feels good to be out here, doesn't it?" Jack smiled back, the warmth of her gaze thawing the last remnants of his doubt. "Yeah, it does. We're free now. We can explore, create new memories." Just then, Jack's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, his heart dropping when he saw a message from his mother. "Jack, we need to talk. Please come home." The words felt like a punch to the gut, ripping open a wound that hadn't fully healed. His stomach twisted painfully. He had set out to break away, yet the ties were proving harder to sever than he expected. "What's wrong?" Emma asked, her expression shifting from excitement to concern. Jack held the phone tightly, fighting the turmoil inside him. "My mom, she wants to talk." Emma leaned closer, their table's intimacy wrapping them in comfort. "You don't have to face this alone. Whatever she says, we'll handle it together." He took a breath, focusing on Emma's steady presence. "Yeah, together," he echoed, but a feeling of dread settled in his chest. As they left the cafe and stepped back into the sunlight, Jack realized that facing his mother would be an essential part of their journey. The road ahead twisted uncertainly, but he needed to confront the past to carve out their future. "Let us go home," he said softly, determination wrapping around his words. "We need to set things straight." Emma nodded, but as they climbed back into the car, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that the conversation awaiting him would shift everything once more. What would his mother say? Would she understand? With a deep breath, they drove onward, knowing that the chase for their future would lead them headfirst into the twists and turns of a life they were still trying to define. What awaited Jack on that path? Truth, forgiveness, or possibly more heartache? The answers lay just ahead, waiting to be uncovered. The highway stretched ahead, endless and straight, a ribbon of asphalt connecting where Jack had been to where he was going. The world outside the car blurred into a kaleidoscope of greens and blues, but inside, time felt suspended. Jack's grip tightened around the steering wheel, each pulse echoing the uncertainty in his heart. Emma sat quietly beside him, her presence both soothing and electrifying. Traffic was light, and for a moment, he was lost in thought. Would his mother even recognize him after all this time? Would she accept his choice to step away from their life? He remembered the last argument they had, words thrown like stones, the hurt etched deeply between them. The memory weighed heavily, yanking him back to the past he thought he had escaped. "Are you okay?" Emma's voice broke through, gentle yet unwavering. "Yeah, just thinking," he replied, flicking a glance at her. She was watching him with those bright eyes, full of understanding. "About your mom?" He nodded, a lump tightening in his throat. "I don't know what she'll say. It's been a while, so much has changed." Emma's hand found his again. "No matter what, remember you're not that scared kid she knew. You've grown. And she'll have to see the new you." Her words wove around him like a warm blanket. He took a deep breath, he needed that reminder. As they merged onto a quieter back road, memories of countless family dinners and lovingly shared meals surfaced, laughter mingled with teasing, and a warmth that felt light years away from the heaviness now settling in his heart. When they pulled into the driveway of his childhood home, the iconic white fence and familiar garden waiting like an old friend sent a wave of nostalgia rolling over him. The house loomed larger than he remembered, a giant of expectation. Emma squeezed his hand before they stepped out of the car, grounding him in the moment. "Ready?" she asked, eyes sparkling with a mix of excitement and concern. Jack exhaled the previous tension. "As I'll ever be together." They walked up to the door, and he hesitated, fingers hovering over the bell. The world around him quieted, a heartbeat suspended in anticipation. Would he find reconciliation or more scars? Finally, he pressed the button. The chime echoed through the house, resonating like a fairy tale that might end in heartbreak. Moments later, the door swung open, revealing his mother. Time had carved its lines into her face, emotions dancing in the depths of her eyes. Surprise flickered momentarily before it morphed into something unreadable. "Jack," she whispered, as if even saying his name was an expedition. "Hey, Mom." He took a step forward, heart hammering against his ribs. It was real, they were face to face. "Come in, please." The invitation was hesitant, filled with promise and old wounds. As he crossed the threshold, he felt Emma shift beside him, her quiet strength melting away the walls he had built. Maybe that was all he needed, a leap of faith, two lives colliding at the heart of something fractured, with hope for a mend. "Can we talk?" Jack finally found his voice, a knot tightening in his stomach. "Yeah, we need to." She looked at Emma then, a soft smile breaking through the tension. "And I'd like to meet the person who helped bring my son back." As they settled into the living room, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that every word exchanged would ripple far beyond this conversation. There was so much to say, so much left unresolved, and all of it hung in the air between them like a deep echo waiting to be heard. What questions would surface? Could they find a way to understand one another again? The answers felt both imminent and daunting, promising more than just a confrontation. With his heart racing, Jack braced himself. In this moment, he knew the past was asking to be confronted, but the future whispered of healing. And he was ready to dive deep into the unknown. What truths would they uncover together? Jack's heart raced as the silence filled the room, thick and heavy. His mother, once so vibrant, now wore a mask of uncertainty that mirrored his own. The small living room, adorned with familiar photographs, family vacations, birthdays, the life they once shared, felt both comforting and suffocating. "Can I offer you something to drink?" she asked, her voice shaking slightly, breaking the tension. "Water's fine," Jack replied, his throat dry. While she turned to fill a glass, he stole a glance at Emma, who offered an encouraging smile, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, a silent anchor in turbulent waters. As his mother returned, he took the glass, the coolness contrasting sharply with the heat of the moment. "Thanks." She sat down across from him, and the distance suddenly felt immense. "You look different," she said, her brows knitting together. "In a good way. I mean, I can't believe how much you've grown." "Yeah, it's been a long time," Jack murmured, struggling with the words stuck like arrows in his throat. "A lot has happened. I think about you a lot, about us." The flicker of pain in her eyes cut deep. "I've thought about you too, Jack. Every day. I never stopped hoping you'd come back." There it was. The vulnerability he had yearned for. "Mom, but the words tangled in his heart again. "Do you hate me?" she asked, her voice trembling like an autumn leaf in the wind. "For everything that happened?" "No. It's not hate. It's just that fight, those words we exchanged." He hesitated, measuring the weight of each syllable. "It felt like it broke us. I thought I was escaping. I thought time apart would help." Tears shimmered in her eyes, glistening like fragile glass. "I was angry. I felt like I was losing you, and I didn't know how to handle it." "I should have understood," Jack said, regret washing over him like cold rain. "I was so focused on my own pain that I forgot yours." Her gaze softened, and in that moment, he felt a shift like the first rays of sunrise breaking through a long night. I've missed you more than I can say. But I never wanted you to feel like you had to leave. He inhaled deeply, emotions swirling inside him like the storm clouds outside. Can we talk about what happened? Can we find a way to forgive? Yes, she whispered, voice thick. I think we can. As they navigated their past, words felt like stepping stones across a raging river. Jack recounted memories, both fond and painful, while she filled in the gaps, her voice steadying as they slowly unraveled the tangled threads of their shared history. Each shared laugh ignited something inside him, rekindling hope in his chest. Emma, quiet yet watchful, squeezed Jack's hand. The strength of their connection amplified the warmth growing between mother and son. What about your life now? She asked cautiously. What are you doing? Jack hesitated, revealing only what he thought was safe. I'm working, trying to carve out my own path. But I want you to know I didn't run from you. I was afraid of disappointing you. I never wanted you to be something you're not. Just be you, she said earnestly. Clarity filled Jack, a warmth generating new possibilities. Maybe they could rebuild, brick by loving brick. Hey, can we? He started, but suddenly, the door swung open, interrupting their moment with heavy footsteps. Mom! Is everything okay? A voice boomed, startling Jack as a figure stepped in. It was his younger brother, Sam, eyes wide with confusion. That in an instant, all the emotions in the room shifted. The fragile truce hung in the balance, the air thickening once more. Jack's heart thumped, uncertainty flooding him again as he exchanged quick glances with Emma and his mother. What would Sam think? Would this new chapter of healing unravel before it even began? Sam's eyes darted between the three adults, confusion etched across his young face. What is going on? He asked, his tone a blend of curiosity and concern. Jack's heart raced again, the moment he had been preparing for bursting into chaos. How could he explain the years lost and the misunderstandings within a heartbeat? All the progress they had just made felt fragile, as if a gust of wind might blow it all away. Everything's fine, Sam, his mother said quickly, her voice steadying in an effort to assure him. We're just talking, catching up, you know. Catching up. The way Sam repeated the phrase felt loaded with uncertainty. Jack could sense the tension in the room rising like a tide, about to crash. He took a breath, realizing he needed to reclaim this moment for his family. Hey, buddy. Jack leaned forward, trying for a smile, though his insides felt like they were in a tangled mess. I'm back in town for a bit. Thought I'd stop by. A flicker of something vulnerable crossed Sam's face. Hope, perhaps, or something too guarded for a kid his age. You didn't say you'd be coming. Why didn't you call? Yeah, I should be, Jack admitted, the weight of all he'd avoided piling on his shoulders. I'm sorry. I just thought I'd surprise you. Sam's brows furrowed, clearly not in the mood for surprises after seeing tension unraveling in front of him. Surprise? Looks more like a bad movie. You guys were fighting? Jack's cheeks heated. He didn't want to drag Sam into the emotional storm that had held them all captive for years. Not a fight, more of a misunderstanding, he said, choosing his words carefully. Look, it's complicated. Sam's voice dropped, earnest and serious. Like when you and Mom used to fight before you left. His mother's face paled, shame flickering across her features, and Jack felt the same cold grip around his heart. This was so much more than complicated. Yeah, something like that, Jack murmured, struggling to find the right way to explain. But we're working through it, I promise. Emma squeezed his hand again, grounding him. He needed to focus. Why don't you tell me what's new with you, Sam? What's happening at school? The shift in focus seemed to ease the burden in the air. Sam lit up slightly, slipping back into the joy of sharing his latest adventures in school, recounting tales of basketball games and teacher favorites. Jack hung on every word, grateful for the glimpse into his brother's world, but it was the fleeting shadows in Sam's eyes that concerned him most. After a few moments, they sat in a quiet lull, Jack's nerves still dancing as he looked from his mother to Sam and back again. "Remember when we used to watch movies together?" Jack asked, trying to recall the happiest of memories. "Yeah." Sam beamed, enthusiasm shining through. "The popcorn and those terrible action flicks. I had a blast." Jack chuckled lightly, but it didn't quite reach his heart. "Maybe we can do that again. You, Mom, and me. Just like before." "Not if you start arguing." Sam shot back, the innocence of a child bringing a hint of lightness, but also a deep-seated awareness that pierced through Jack. The tension filled the space again as Jack locked eyes with his mother, silently communicating the reality of their current situation. "Can we really do this?" he whispered when Sam was distracted. "Can we heal?" "I think we can," she answered, her gaze unwavering. "But it's going to take time, and it's not just us." Jack's stomach twisted. Sam was listening, not understanding, the complexities of family buried beneath the surface. Jack could feel it, the weight of the past, the challenge of the present, and the uncertainty of future. In the thick air, Jack suddenly realized something. "What if I told you I found something that might change everything?" Sam's head snapped back toward him, eyes wide. "What do you mean?" Jack hesitated, sensing the shift in their fragile reunion. He had a deep truth to share, one that could unravel everything or bring them closer than ever. Just as he opened his mouth to answer, the door creaked again, and a new figure stepped in. The atmosphere thickened, their small bubble of rekindled hope now threatened by another intrusion. "Jack!" a voice exclaimed, rich with surprise, and his heart began to race anew. Could this new presence tear them apart once more, or was it a sign of hope they hadn't expected? The figure in the doorway was tall, with an air of confidence that felt both familiar and unsettling. It took Jack a moment to recognize the man standing before them, and when he did, a mix of emotions surged within him: nervousness, anger, and a sliver of hope. "Ryan?" Jack's voice was barely above a whisper. Why had he come now, intruding into a moment that was already so precarious? "Hey, man. Didn't expect to see you here," Ryan said, forcing a casual smile, but his eyes betrayed a deeper concern. "What is going on?" Sam piped up, his curiosity piqued again, switching the focus from Jack's confrontation with his past to this unexpected guest. "Just came to see how Emma was doing," Ryan replied, shooting a glance at Jack that felt charged. Tension hummed in the space, thick enough to cut. "Really?" Emma interjected, an edge creeping into her voice. "You just dropped by without a warning?" Jack could see the way Sam's gaze shifted back and forth, trying to make sense of the puzzle that had just become even more complicated. "Who's this guy?" he asked, suspicion tinging his words. "Just an old friend," Jack said quickly, though that wasn't entirely true. Ryan had been more than a friend. He was the one who had stood alongside Emma in Jack's absence, the one who had had the life Jack had abandoned. "I'm sure Jack has some stories to share too," Ryan spoke, his tone light but with an undercurrent that Jack could feel in his bones. "Why don't you tell Sam how you disappeared for so long?" Jack's heart dropped. This was how he wanted Sam to learn anything about the last few years. He had imagined a softer, gentler reunion, not this raw exposure of his failures. "Yeah, Sam." Jack stammered, fumbling through his thoughts. That's not, but Sam's innocent gaze already bore the weight of truths he could hardly grasp. "Is that why you left? Because of him?" The question hung in the air, a daunting flashlight on the corners of Jack's fragmented past. He could feel his palms sweat, and he darted a look at Emma, searching for support, but her face was set in a mask of frustration and concern. "Listen, Sam," he started, but the words felt heavy and inadequate. "It's complicated. I want to explain everything, just, maybe not now." Ryan stepped forward, crossing the threshold into the mix of emotions swirling around them. "You know, Jack," he said lightly, "this could be a chance to clear the air." You both have a lot of unresolved feelings. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to talk about it. Jack felt a storm brewing in him. Ryan had always had a knack for pushing his buttons, and now was not the time. And maybe it wouldn't hurt for you to step back, Jack shot back, his voice sharper than he intended. Sam's face fell, disappointment flashing in his young eyes. In that moment, Jack realized he was losing his brother again, letting this heated exchange overshadow the fragile connection they had just started to rebuild. Can't we just talk about something else? Sam pleaded, frustration breaking through his youthful veneer. Like the movies? Yeah, Emma agreed, stepping between the two men. Let's not make this harder than it needs to be. The tension lingered, but Emma's intention to redirect the conversation brought a hint of relief. Jack nodded but felt the lingering question looming over them: how could they really mend what was broken with all these unresolved feelings swirling around? I found something, Jack finally whispered again, his resolve rising. Something that might change this, everything. Sam perked up, the earlier hope returning, though anxiety still flickered in his expression. What is it? Something from the past, Jack said, his heart pounding. But I need to know it's alright to share with all of you before I dive in. As he searched each of their faces, the weight of their collective unresolved emotions hung over them, something waiting to break open. Ryan's presence suddenly felt like a complication they hadn't anticipated, and Jack couldn't shake the feeling that whatever truth he carried might alter everything he had just started to rebuild. Are you ready for this? Emma asked quietly. Jack took a deep breath, aware that there might be no turning back. I hope so. Because I think it's time we all faced the truth, together. The room held its breath, enshrouded in the possibility of revelation, as Jack prepared to take the step into the unknown. Would the truth bind them closer together or pull them apart once more? Jack swallowed hard, the anticipation swirling in his stomach like a tornado. The truth he carried felt heavy, laden with secrets whispered in dark corners and decisions that had shaped his life in unimaginable ways. Before I say anything, I need you all to know this is about healing, he began, his voice steadier than he felt. He glanced at Emma, whose quiet support wrapped around him like a warm embrace. We've all been through so much, but I think it's time to raise the curtain on the past. Sam perched at the edge of his seat, eyes wide, hanging on Jack's every word. His mother looked tentatively hopeful, while Ryan watched keenly, a mask of neutrality but with hints of apprehension. The room buzzed with tension, alive with the unspoken emotions that danced just below the surface. First, I want to say I messed up. When I left, it wasn't just about running away from home, it was about running away from myself too. I was lost and scared, and I thought distance would help me find clarity. But instead, it just created a void for me and for everyone else. His voice cracked at the end, the weight of his admissions pressing heavily on him. Jack, you don't have to go through this, Emma whispered, concerned, but he shook his head firmly. He needed to do this, not just for himself but for the family he hoped to rebuild. I do, he insisted. There is something I need to show you all. A part of my life I've kept buried. Jack rummaged through his pocket, pulling out an old crumpled photograph. It was faded, its edges worn, but the image was unmistakable: him, Sam, and their mom, smiling wide on a beach trip that felt like a lifetime ago. That was us, he said softly, holding the photograph out. Before the chaos, before I thought running away was the answer. He glanced at Sam, whose eyes flickered with recognition. We used to be happy, right? It wasn't always shadows and distance. Their mother leaned closer, her expression a whirlwind of emotions as she reached out for the photo. Oh, Jack, I remember this. A choked sob escaped her as she traced her finger over his face, where innocence had once shone through. I never wanted you to feel like you had to leave. Jack took a tentative breath, emboldened by seeing her emotion reflect his own. Mom, I'm sorry for everything that came out wrong. I was so angry and confused, and I pushed you away. But I want to fix this. I want us to be close again. Can we, though? Sam spoke up, his youthful sincerity breaking like sunbeams through the dark clouds hanging in the room. I don't want this family to stay broken. Can we really start over? Jack felt a tear slip down his cheek as he looked at his brother. I want to believe we can. All of us. He turned to Emma, whose eyes glimmered with tears of encouragement and strength. And that's why I'm ready to confront everything, my past, the mistakes, and the choices I made. To do it for you, Emma. For you, Sam. For us. Ryan shifted, the tension flattening. He had stood as a spectator, but the heartfelt moment seemingly reached him too. If Jack's willing to face his demons, and you all can find a way to be honest, then moving forward isn't just a dream. It might be the only way to heal. It is, Emma added softly, her gaze steady. This is how we reclaim our family. Through truth and honesty. The past can't hold us hostage anymore. Sam nodded, his youthful conviction shining through. I want this. It's like a new beginning for all of us. Suddenly, Jack felt a rush of warmth spread through him. It was as if a forgotten fire was reigniting. Then let us do it. Let us talk about everything, what happened, why it happened, and how we can begin to forgive. As they went deeper into the conversation, the lingering uncertainties began to lift. Emma spoke of her struggles and how she had held everything together for David. Their mother opened up about her own fears and failures. And even Sam bravely voiced the confusion he felt growing up without Jack, his longing to reconnect. Jack could feel each layer of pain peeling away, revealing their shared vulnerability. They began to rebuild the bonds that had unraveled over time. Finally, as silence settled, Jack looked at his family, feeling the collective heartbeats of hope surround them. I know the road ahead won't be easy, but for the first time, I feel like we're facing it together. His mother nodded, her gaze fierce with determination. We can redefine our family, Jack. Let us promise to communicate and to be honest with each other. No more running away. Jack could feel the weight of their new commitment settling comfortably with him. Together, he echoed softly, taking Emma's hand once again, grounding him in this newfound space filled with possibility. Together, they all said, the word echoing around the room like a vow, sealing promises and intentions woven with love and resilience, and as they shared a moment of silence filled with hope, Jack felt more certain than ever. They were embarking on a journey not just to heal but to thrive. The thrill of new beginnings wrapped around them like a cozy blanket as they stepped out into the bright world waiting beyond their front door. This was their transformation, this was their love story reborn. If you've enjoyed watching Jack's journey unfold, you need to subscribe now to the channel. Don't miss out on amazing transformations like this. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and keep the stories coming. That I want to know how you feel about this ending, so comment below your thoughts and reactions, and please share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need a dose of inspiration today. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans like you know the importance of supporting the channel through these simple actions.